Hey everyone, this is Wyland with the FPV podcast. I just want to give a quick shout out to our newest Patreon supporter, Christopher from Oregon. Thank you so much for being the latest supporter. Again, we always appreciate all of our Patreon supporters. You really help us out, and we always do a raffle at the beginning of the month for all of our Patreon supporters. So that's all I have to say. Let's go on to the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the FPV podcast. This week, we're doing something a little bit special. We're actually not going to have a guest on because there's a few issues that me and Elvan want to talk about, and we felt like we didn't want to put any pilots on the spot as we discuss these issues because we didn't feel like they want to take a side, but we certainly do want to discuss it because that's what this podcast is about. Before we do that, Elvan, what's up?
Hey everybody, I'm out having fun, enjoying the summer. Out doing a lot of flying with a couple of my friends. You guys will catch some of the videos later. And I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. And let's get into this week's topics.
We got a lot of topics. A couple of them from Elvan, a couple of them from me. So The first one that we're going to talk about is actually something that's it's happened because nobody goes to forums anymore, right? Forums used to be where everybody get information. The problem with forums is that nowadays there's 800 pages on a thread and nobody's going to go through and read 800 pages of thread information. So we all migrated over to Facebook, and that's great and all if you're able to keep up with Facebook. The problem is that it's so dispersed in all over the place. I get so many people that constantly come to me. It's like, how do you not know this information? And I'm like, I don't have time to go search through Facebook for all this stuff.
I swear to God, you don't.
And how do you deal with it, Elvan?
It runs me ragged. I'm sitting here, earlier today, I went out to go hang out with a dude, and I'm asking him for help. He's supposed to be a tuning guru. He's supposed to be my Andrew here, right? That's my Andrew, right? So I go to Justin, and I'm like, yo, this is how I'm set up. I need to smoothen out the ship. I got a video shoot tomorrow, right? And Justin's like, all right, let's look at it. And he goes, oh my God, your settings are unusual for a modern day quad. And I'm like, but I'm a pilot, and this is the modern day. What do you mean? And he tore apart my setup, right? I'm like, okay, look, it feels good to me. So let's leave that section alone. Let's get the Jello out. And it for a little bit, it took him he had to realize that not all of us are the same, and we don't all fly the same. We don't have the same settings. We don't have the same, I'm not one of those pilots that I try to fit the form of other pilots. When everybody is yelling, oh, my rates are 1,200 rotations per second. I'm like, 400 works great for me. You know what I mean? I hardly ever miss a hole, right? And they're like, yeah, then it's fine for me. So, and having high expo, it gets rid of my old man twitches, I notice I'm shaking a little bit. So, it reduces that. So I'm happy with where I'm at. But I think that a lot of people don't really have the access to the information. And then there's some places you go and you're overwhelmed by all the information out there. Don't you feel completely overwhelmed from time to time? Because I know I am.
It's gotten to the point where I basically rely on a few people to get my information from. And then from then, I can either dive deeper into the information or I can ignore it, right?
Right.
But the problem is when I do that, I miss 60% of the information out there. It's and I'm okay with that because I can't keep up with everything.
Nobody can.
I don't want to know the latest and greatest motor KV or the latest and greatest battery or the latest and greatest setting, whatever. It's to the point where it's okay, is it really relevant? Is it actually going to make me fly better? Okay, I'm going to ignore that one unless it's relevant to the podcast, which sometimes it is.
Right. And one of my pet peeve right now is props, right? We've done all of this exploration in 5-inch props, and And no one really has taken that from the 5-inch to the 6-inch to the 7-inch to the 8-inch props, right? It's just we're still like 7-inch guys. Here's my pet peeve, guys. If you say you're running a 7-inch ship and you got 6-inch props on it, you're running a 6-inch ship.
Elvin's pet peeve has been notified.
That's my pet peeve. Like, oh my God. Like people say, I'm running a 7-inch ship. No, you're not. You're running 60/40s, dude. That's not 7s. That's 6s. And if that's just my pet peeve. And I know some people are not annoyed by that, but I am, because it takes a little bit of tuning to learn these things. And the reason why guys do the 6-inch instead of the 7-inch, because 7 inches is harder to tune for because the prop is moving slower. And it seems that way, but it's not. It's moving more air. So you just have to work around a few little quirks about 7 inches, like balance your props.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And also, like, even just going into like something like 5-inch and like what we've done in research with a 5-inch, there's also a lot of misinformation out there, right? You can jump onto a thread or a forum or somebody, and somebody will give you false information, and it's like, well, I guess he's right, but like then you find out later it's like, I guess he's wrong, because all these people are saying the opposite, and it's like, well, who's right? I know we have the Bardwells in the world that kind of, helps us make good decisions, but I mean,
that's
like,
awesome.
And that is awesome, but like he can't cover the entire breadth of everything that's going on in FPV. That's the problem.
And part of my problem is who really can, who can really sit down and cover all aspects of building a quad from the bottom up. I mean, these guys have the skills, they have the knowledge, but then it's like a 24-hour class you got to go to get all of this stuff in. And really, you're not going to get it all, because it's like 18 24-hour day, classes that you're going to have to get to learn. You got to learn all that. Like, a lot of guys don't know timing. What does timing do for you? So low timing increases your torque. High timing reaches your top end. So like, a lot of guys don't know that. A lot of guys don't know what the I can't think of it right now, but there's so much stuff in my head, and it's hard to get it all out and flow and be able to express it all. But there's a couple of things that happen in BL Heli that you can make drastic changes to your ship, like timing. That's very important, and it can make the difference between a prop not having the right amount of torque at the bottom or the amount of thrust at the top end, or it could reverse that whole process. So you can actually make a ship more torquey and handle more torque and just give a more growl in the beginning when you first hit the throttle. In other words, accelerate. And then if you go to high timing, what happens is you're not accelerating as fast, but you're reaching a higher top end speed. And those things can play nightmares in your head trying to figure out where you need this and where you don't need this and what track you need that for. Because I'm a strong proponent on the fact that when you build a quad, you build it for a specific race or a type of race, right? And then you take that ship and then you race it in a different type of race, and you have to get it set up for that race. So, each time you race a quad in different locations across the world and in different locations, different elevations and, places, air temperature, air quality, air density, all of those things play effect, and you need to be able to manipulate your ship and understand what is necessary to run it in those areas. So that's a lot of information.
Honestly, I don't think we're there yet as racers to actually absorb that. I mean, like, you're talking about, like I can tell you, like, an example, right? In NASCAR, when they run a track, they actually take temperatures at every turn. And
Right.
then they actually know how to take the turn, because even a temperature change of a few degrees will affect how quickly they can turn, because how hot the tires are.
Right. True
We're
that.
not there yet with quads, right? At
No.
the professional level, they have to worry about that stuff. We're
Right.
still trying to kill batteries. I don't know,
Right.
but you're right. I think the takeaway from this is a lot of us have a few trusted sources, and we go with that, and we never kind of go outside of those realms, and that's kind of
That's true for
dangerous.
me too.
Yeah, that's kind of dangerous, because the person that you trust, he could get the information wrong too, and it's kind of, I don't know how to solve the problem, Elvin, but it is a problem.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. Staying in your little group can be detrimental to your race career. It could be detrimental to the functioning of your ships, and add anxieties and turmoil, mental turmoil on yourself. Where you're sitting there guessing whether or not. I've been in this situation where I've gone to a race and I've not known how my quad is going to perform this time. You know what I mean? Like you get there and you're like, oh my God, like I had 2 death spins this morning. Like is it going to happen on the track, or is it going to happen after? You know what I mean? When is it going to happen? So you just go out and you fly as hard as you can, for as long as you can, and hope everything holds together. We got to stop doing that. That's killing a lot of performance of some of the top pilots in the world.
Very true. All right, let's get off this topic, because we'll talk about
Right.
it forever. Another topic that I think that's come into play for me, and it's something that's been very interesting, because we've actually kind of skirted this for a very long time now, but it's come to the point where it's become accepted, and that actually becomes problematic. And that's the
Sure.
whole overcharging your batteries. Everybody
Yes.
knows that you're supposed to charge to 4.2 unless it's a high cap battery. If it's a high cap
Right.
battery, you can charge
It's
a little bit.
4.35.
It's 4.3, which is not a lot. So it'll get you like a burst for the first 30 seconds or something like that.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
it's like a regular battery.
Right.
The problem is that people are going crazy amounts over, to the point where if you go to a big race and there are high stakes, it's almost guaranteed all the top pilots are overcharging their batteries. They're
Oh, yeah.
sacrificing that battery to win the race, or to win that heat.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy, because we're seeing fires like almost every race now. And
Every race.
And it's like, as a racing community, that's not something that we should be doing, because that's just flat out dangerous. Eventually somebody's going to get hurt. Eventually something's really going to catch on fire.
Eventually something's going to burn to the ground. That's what's going to happen. And since I can speak about lipo fires, literally, I've had 7, and I can tell you, when it happens, you got no moments of thought process. It's all practice. Like, it's all grab the bucket, run to the bathroom, fill it up, run back into the room, poosh, run back into the bathroom, fill the bucket up, come back in, poosh. If you don't get it on the second time, get the hell out of there before you die. Because
Here's the thing, though. I really think that as a racing community, we need to take this seriously, and there should be some rules against it. I mean, there should be some safety checks where, like, literally, I understand that, the old saying, like, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. This is kind of cheating at this point, right? Because there are people out there that race that cannot overcharge their batteries, because you're literally saying that $40 battery, $30 battery, $20 battery, it's insignificant to you, right? You're sacrificing it to win that heat, which some pilots can do that. A lot of pilots cannot. And
not me.
And for that reason, I really think there should be checks on the line to say you can't have something that's over, like, 422 or something like that. Because, like, number one, it would be safer, right? And if we want to be taken seriously by any of the other professions, we have to follow some sort of safety procedures. It literally says on every box, it's like, don't overcharge your batteries. Yeah, we find it perfectly fine to overcharge our batteries. So
for racing.
For racing.
Right. Because a
But
lot of guys don't overcharge for freestyle. Like that's one of the things I noticed. Like a lot of freestyle pilots, either they run HV batteries or they don't overcharge. Like a lot of the freestyle pilots I know, when I told them about overcharging, they were like, that's not cool, is it? You know, and I'm like, I'm not telling you to do it, but I'm telling you that others are doing it. You know what I mean? And they're gaining something out of it. And I will tell you that you're going to lose a lot. You're going to lose performance of your battery. Over time, you won't get the cycles that you're supposed to get. You know, you won't see the longevity of your $40. I mean, is $40 worth 20 runs at max speed, or is it worth 150 runs like it's supposed to be? You know what I mean? And technically, you know, guys, lipos are we're supposed to get 500 to 1,000 cycles. 500 or 1,000 cycles. That's what these batteries are designed for. Are you getting them? Because I try to get mine.
oh, I get mine, but like I baby my batteries. Like I don't try to kill my batteries unless I run into a tree. That's a different story though.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, but like I'm kind of. This is one of those things where I bet you that like the AMA people don't know about it, because if they did know about it, it probably goes against every regulation they have for an organized event.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things that I believe that they're just overlooking. You know, it's like, let's not go into the pit and check any batteries. You know what I mean? Like, let's not go do that. You know, let's go over here and look to make sure that they're not flying out of bounds, because that's more important, you know. But if the pit catches on fire, because eventually it's going to happen, right? I mean, realistically, we know that stuff happens, and this more stupid, you know, like my friend said, look, shit happens when you're paying attention and you're looking in all the directions you're supposed to. Shit happens. What about the one time you charging batteries and shit happens? And then the pit burns down, or somebody catches on fire and we have to put them out. A lot of the clothes we wear today are plastic, right? And if you catch on fire, if your shirt catches on fire from a lipo, you could travel that, make a fire over here, end up way down the road. You know what I mean?
Okay, let's not go there. Let's not go there.
But I'm just saying, it could happen. So we have to be more vigilant about limiting and checking batteries. I think it's a very important point of being safe, part of the community. And it should be a regulation. I mean, it's okay. So what happens right now? They say we can only use 4.25 batteries. Nobody says that you can use high voltage batteries. So what if you say we can use high voltage batteries? Then all of a sudden high voltage batteries become more popular and you can run them the way you're supposed to. What's wrong with that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, except, you know, it costs you more money. But you know, when everybody got onto the success train, this was supposed to fix the problem of people overcharging, but people are still overcharging success batteries now. So it's
right.
Like you can only solve this problem by regulating it. I believe it's a problem because you hear the stories and people laugh it off. Except one of these times you're not going to be able to laugh it off.
Somebody's not going to be able to laugh it off.
Right. And then the house burns down, and then the hammer gets dropped, and then things get wrong.
Or not the house, but the building that you're racing in. You know, the building burns down, you know, and it's happened. I mean, for little other stuff, you know, I know there's a guy here in Oregon that I used to fly with who lost his garage, lost half his house. You know, and luckily he had the insurance to cover it all. But, you know, he learned a lesson. You know, he no longer charges inside the garage. He's got a barbecue pit that he charges outside, you know, and he's relentless about charging in the barbecue pit. Like he's learned that lesson to the point where you couldn't get, like you could walk over to his house and go to plug something in the wall. And he said, if you don't put it in that plug right there connected to that barbecue grill, you ain't charging nothing here.
As a person who has put out many lipo fires at events, dirt, by the way, is the best thing. Don't use water, just or sand, whatever is convenient to smother.
You gotta smother.
You gotta smother. Like every single time I do a big event, like I'm doing a big event this Saturday, I buy insurance. Right, I'm not just relying on AMA insurance. I actually have to go buy other insurance because of these type of issues. And as organizers, we worry about stuff like that, especially if we bring these things indoors, because now it is a fire hazard. Now, if something catches on fire and the wrong person sees it, I'm going to have to explain that, and that's bad. So
that's bad.
Yeah. So that's my pet peeve, is we're becoming too lax in terms of these fires happening and then accepting it and making it a part of the community. That shouldn't be what we do, what we're doing.
Yeah, we need to be more vigilant.
All right, let's go on to something a little bit happier to wrap up this podcast. Elvan, I've been helping you record some shenanigans. What shenanigans are you up to? Before he dies from coughing.
Coughing, man. Sinuses, all kinds of stuff going on. Okay, so this is something that I kind of fell into this position where, because I'm a long range guy and I've always kind of been a kind of long range guy, but it's long range, quads, wings. It doesn't really matter. I just like flying, and the further and the longer I can fly, the better. And I'm not really a mission guy. Okay. I wanted to say that too. Like I'm not interested in flying by fingertips, like, okay, ship, you go over there and then come back. To me, that's not flying. That's a mission, and I don't want to be a part of missions. I want to be the guy who actually flies the ship that distance. So here's my thing. I started a little Instagram thing called FPV, long range FPV. And what it's about is going to be a couple of episodes about long range, about how to do it, about what to expect, what to plan. We're going to test some stuff out. Like right now we're running the R9 system, and eventually I'll have a Crossfire system, but right now we're running it and we're having a good time running it, and we're learning a lot of things about setting it up that I'll share later with the rest of the group. And I'm going to open up on how to do these things, what props to run, what motors to run. I'm going to get them all, guys. I'm going to do my best, and I might need a little help, but I'm going to get them all, and I'm going to test them all, and I'm going to put down stats, and we're going to talk about flight times and the right props. And, it's just a lot of information out there too. And it's like we talked about earlier, it's hard to get all that information together and understand what's going on with long range, because there's a lot of stuff to deal with. There's ships, like different planes, different wings fly differently. Different wings are for different types of flying. There's short distance flying, there's agile flying, there's smooth flying, there's cinematic flight, right? And because that's a different type of flying, guys. When you're out trying to get that movie quality video, you're not yanking and banking. You're gliding. That's the whole idea, and that's the best way I can represent or tell you what I'm doing is when I'm out flying a ship and I'm up at 600 feet cruising the edge of a mountain range like we were the last weekend. We're flying the ridge, we're flying as slow and as smooth as possible, anticipating the updraft from the bottom and the over the top, over the edge coming from the we call it dynamic slope, where the wind comes up the backside of the mountain and causes a curvature a wind turbulent right here, and you fly in and out of it to pick up speed. Well, when we're flying along the ridge, we're trying to keep the ship as smooth as possible so we can get that nice, clean, we're floating in space look, and it takes a little bit. So I want to kind of elaborate on all this stuff, man. I'm all excited. It's long run. Me, man. Like once I get this kind of thing going on in my head, it's like it's the drive, right? It's like, what are you doing? We're going to the beach. Why? Because I need to fly 4 miles. Dude, where you going? We're going out to Woodburn. Why? Because I got to test something that's got to fly 4 miles. This is all I think about is getting distance. And like for me, my personal goal is 25 miles. So like, I'm getting to it. Like to be able to fly out and back 25 miles. That's my goal.
You're gonna need to be on top of a mountain to be able to do
There's
this.
a bunch of them around here. So
That's a
there's
good
like
point.
seven mountains here in Oregon, and you can drive 2 hours from here and be between 4 of them. So it's a great place to be. Nice open spaces. We just was out at Pine Hollow with the Sky Knights this last weekend, doing a float and fun fly out there in Pine Hollow. Beautiful place. Beautiful way to getting there was more fun than being there. I can tell you that. Like we stopped along the way, me and Justin Davis from Drone Camps. We stopped several times just to jump out and throw a pack out. And then like we get to the campsite. Here's like the big stupid thing I did. Like we get to the campsite, 5 flights. We did 5 flights, right? We jump out, I put a battery in, we toss up, we fly around, and we rip in this hill and we land, and I reach in and I turned off the run cam, thinking I turned off the run cam, and then we get somewhere else and I turn it back on and we take off and we're flying around. So like 5 times we land, I get to the place and I'm like bragging about where we were flying. Dude, you should see the video. Hold on, let me get my camera, right? Let me get the run cam. I run over there, open up the record. Uh-oh.
Still recording.
Not one memory card. I was so excited I forgot to put the memory card in the camera. Like, I'm like, okay, I did that. All right. So like you go, okay, tomorrow when we're leaving, we're gonna hit every one of those
Again.
Like, right. So I'm saving batteries, right? Like, okay, like no, I'm not flying right now because I want to save my batteries for that hill, right? We get up in the morning, we look over toward the hill, there's smoke coming in. Visibility half a mile. I'm like, no, we must come back. We must come back. So that's the plan. Yeah, we're going back. Not this weekend because we'll be out in Coos Bay flying, doing some extraordinary stuff with some other guys and trying to build on the talent that we have for some media stuff. So I'm looking forward to that too. UTV Takedown, guys. Check that out. That's some crazy stuff going on in Coos Bay, Oregon.
All right, Elvan. Like,
yeah.
You're going to do all this cool stuff. I expect to see more videos than just the little wing series. What's going on? What's going on? I'm teasing you.
I know, I got a family, like my wife and my kids and grandkids and ripping and running, it gets really hard for me, and I'm not much of a share guy, that, when we get together, we have a great time, and I don't tell nobody what we do. We're having, like, you should have seen, if you was there, you would have known what we were doing, right? That's usually what I tell people. And I'm not one to record where everything, have the GoPro out, and, I like to just fly, and I like to experience things on my own and by myself. And I don't do a lot of recording, even though it may look like that, but I don't. I mean, I pretty much, I pretty much fly almost every day, at least 4 packs, and I don't post none of it because it's pretty much just me flying. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. But I'll tell you this: a couple of weeks ago, a buddy of mine said something to me that kind of got me a little, like, had my ears up. He said that he spoke about a pilot that was seen as the best 3D pilot in the world, right? And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, yeah, that guy. And I said, there's no way that guy's the #1 3D pilot in the world. He's just a race pilot. He's a really great pilot, don't get me wrong, but he's a race pilot with a great bunch of editing skills that go on top of it. So he looks like he's better at 3D than some other pilots. And then when we sat down and compared these videos, we compared them against people like Matty Stunts and the new guy from France who's like Matty, and he was like, oh my God, that guy is and I was like, see, it's just about the reference of who you know. You got to put everybody in the right pool, or you know what I mean? Like you can't put me in the scuba diver's pool because I don't know nothing about scuba diving. But if you ask me about diving to the bottom of the ocean at 200 feet and how fast I can get down and whether I can get back up, I can tell you all about that,
True enough. All right. Yeah, no, I totally understand. Even for as many videos as I try to post up, still a lot that I don't ever record in a given day because it's it's
I
really
know
hard.
you do some, you are like killing it right now. I think aren't you like at 1,000 videos right now?
No, not even close. Like 400.
Wow, I got you beat.
I know. Don't worry, I'll catch up. All right.
I hope. But hey, look, there's a lot of information out there, and we try to do the best that we can to share it.
We do.
And I want to correlate my stuff. That's what it is, and I want to be more. I don't know. I like testing stuff. That's one of my things. That's one of the reasons why I like staying behind the scenes is because it's easier to get stuff to test, and I can be more opinionated toward the manufacturer instead of toward the customer, and not seem like I'm making demands. I'd like to move things forward and help out. Like a company that just now started producing a battery, a goggle battery, and I was like, dude, like, where's the USB charger on this thing? And they were like, oh, we forgot. And I was like, oh my God, you can't be making a brand new battery with voltage read and all of this other stuff, and how long I get to use it longer, and showing the current draw and all that, and not have a USB charger. And then he said, oh, we don't know what we're going to do. And I said, I got an idea. And they said, what? I said, you make a USB charger multi-port where you can plug other goggles into it. So you make a box that I can plug 4 or 5 goggle batteries in and charge them all through USB. Sounds like a product that might be out soon, guys.
Sounds pretty cool. No, like, I think you and I eventually have to sit down and tackle, like, how we can, like, unsubjectively, I don't know the right word, my brain isn't working, but like how we can disseminate information in an unbiased way to kind of like get the right information out there, but like that's something we'll have to think about,
and it's hard. It's like we all know, try to go look up something and be objective and get all the information and not pick sides, It's hard.
No, I don't think it's gonna work. Okay. Actually, you know what? We're gonna wrap up early. Elvan.
All right.
Anything else you got?
No, I flying my 7-inch, and it's really a 7-inch, and Jello free, which is hard, and because it's hard to tune a 7-inch. Anyway, I like doing stuff like this, and I know you like doing what your stuff over there. And, I'm looking forward to coming back out and doing some more stuff. I mean, that's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. Yeah. If you got an idea on how to disseminate accurate information unbiasedly, drop us a line. Other than that, though, we are out for the week. Elvin?
Oh, before we
Okay.
go, we have to. Okay, so if you guys haven't listened to the last bunch of episodes, it's Team White Goat. We had Team White Goat on. We got a bunch of the teammates and had them on here and brought them out to show you guys and let you guys meet the Team White Goat. I would like to do the same thing with other teams. So if you got a team out there, guys, and you want to get known and you want to bring something out to the public, your awareness or what your team's about, hit me up, man. I will talk to you, and then we'll get you on the show and let you talk about your team, and hope we can help you guys do something.
Sounds good. All right, that's a good idea, Elvin. All right, we're out for the week. Everybody have a good time, and keep them flying.
Keep them spinning. Them props.